The recently implemented cross-border payment system in Southeast Asian countries could enhance financial integration among participating nations, bringing the ASEAN bloc closer to its economic cohesion goals. This system enables individuals to make payments for goods and services in local currency through QR codes and is currently operational in Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, and Singapore. Very recently, on August 25th, Vietnam, Philippines, and Brunei announced their participation in this cross-border payment system. According to CNBC, the recent launch comes months after a memorandum of understanding was signed by members from the ASEAN nations, which includes 5 Southeast Asian central banks: Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, Singapore, and the Philippines. The goal is to facilitate and support cross-border trade settlements, remittance, investment, and other economic processes, fostering a more comprehensive financial ecosystem with the Southeast Asian region. So, in detail, how will this cross-border payment system operate? What are the economic benefits as well as the challenges it presents for ASEAN? Let's delve into these aspects in today's World Affairs. Analysts believe that the retail sector will particularly benefit in the context of expected increases in consumer spending, which could in turn boost the tourism industry. By establishing regional connectivity, ASEAN is working to reduce reliance on outside currencies such as the US dollar to conduct cross-border transactions, especially between businesses. The US dollar's strength in the last few years has debilitated ASEAN currencies, which negatively impacts these economies, as most of these member countries are food and net energy importers. The system will forego the US dollar or the Chinese renminbi as intermediary. Nico Han, a Southeast Asia analyst at Diplomat's Risk Intelligence, the consulting and analysis division of current affairs magazine, The Diplomat, told CNBC. A unified cross-border digital payment system will foster a sense of regionalism and ASEAN centrality in managing international affairs, he added. This move becomes even more crucial in light of escalating tensions among major global powers. By connecting the QR code payment system, money can be transferred from one e-wallet to another. These e-wallets function like bank accounts but can also be linked to accounts with official financial institutions. For instance, a Malaysian tourist in Singapore can make transactions using the Malaysian ringgit in their Malaysian e-wallet. Alternatively, a Malaysian worker in Singapore can send money in Singapore dollars from their Singaporean e-wallet to the recipient's e-wallet in Malaysia. Fees and exchange rates will be determined through a mutual agreement among central banks. For now, a region-wide system like this doesn't exist in other parts of the world, but down the road, the Bank of International Settlements, based in Switzerland, hopes to connect retail payment systems across the world using QR codes and mobile phone numbers. The ASEAN Central Bank's effort is innovative and novel, said Satoru Yamedera, advisor at the Asian Development Bank's Economic Research and Development Impact Department. In other regions like Europe, retail payment connection via credit and debit cards is more popular, while China is well known for advanced QR code payment, but they are not connected like the ASEAN QR codes, he continued. The move to streamline cross-border payments between regions in Southeast Asia has been in the works for a while. In April, the Monetary Authority of Singapore and Bank Negara of Malaysia partnered to develop a new cross-border QR code payment linkage. This signaled a significant step forward to facilitating smoother payments between the countries. And this recent push by ASEAN is another clear step forward to a more financially inclusive environment. While a regional play, ASEAN is arguably leading the way for modern-day cross-border payments, said Albert Bodin, Director of Commercial and Enterprise Payments at Haviland Strategy and Research. QR payments don't impose fees on cardholders and merchants. They also boast of better conversion rates than those set by private payment processors like Visa or American Express. Micro-enterprises as well as small and medium-sized businesses, or SMBs, will emerge as winners from regional payment connectivity, experts say. According to the Asian Development Bank, such companies account for over 90% of businesses in Southeast Asia. SMBs can avoid the expenses associated with maintaining a physical point-of-sale system or paying interchange fees to card companies, explained Han from Diplomat Risk Intelligence. Marginalized individuals from low-income backgrounds also stand to benefit. As the payment system works via digital wallets and doesn't require a traditional bank account, it can be used by the unbanked population. The system has the potential to improve financial literacy and well-being for the underbanked population, Han noted. ASEAN's new system will also enable merchants and consumers to build a robust payment history and provide valuable data for credit scoring, said Nicholas Lee, lead Asia Tech analyst at Global Counsel, a public policy advisory firm. That's particularly advantageous for unbanked and underbanked segments of the population who traditionally lack access to such credit assessment data. Moreover, increased non-cash transactions would allow policymakers to capture transaction data and trade flow more effectively, assuming these data are accessible, said Lee. This, in turn, could lead to better economic forecasting and policy making. While strengthening payment connectivity within the region has the potential to reduce payment friction and accelerate digital transition, it would inadvertently put pressure on certain currencies, particularly the Singapore dollar. The potential scenario of the Singapore dollar emerging as a de facto reserve currency within the region poses a challenge that ASEAN states will need to confront, said Lee. With the Singapore dollar's strength and stability, both international and regional businesses may opt to hold more of their working capital in Singapore dollars, relying on the new payment network for efficient currency conversion. If that happens, it could weaken the purchasing power of other currencies in the region and result in higher imported inflation if central banks don't intervene. In such a scenario, authorities may feel the need to impose capital restrictions in order to protect their respective currencies, which could undermine the very purpose of establishing a regional payment network. Regulations pose another challenge. Central banks will have to address security and fraud issues, plus undertake the task of educating the public to embrace the new payment system, said Han. These factors can collectively contribute to a time-consuming process, he warned. This kind of coordinated action will require strong political will from regional leaders, and it remains to be seen if ASEAN members can come together to successfully implement such an ambitious venture.